really need to know, I learned in kindergarten.
Ask a kindergarten class how many of you can draw. All hands, shoot up.
Oh, I can draw. Yes,
What can you draw?
anything.
How about a dog eating a fire truck in the jungle?
How big do you want it?
How many of you can sing?
Me?
Me can sing. I can.
What can you sing?
Anything.
What if you don't know the words?
That's okay, we'll just make them up.
Let's sing.
Now,
Why not?
how many of you like to dance?
Me? Oh, I can
I
dance.
was in the car, and I was with my mom, and I was dancing in the car, and nobody saw me, but I was dancing in the car.
Yeah, I did that too.
What kind of music do you like to dance to?
Any kind. Let's dance.
Now?
Sure. Why not?
How many of you like to act in plays?
Me?
I didn't say me.
How many play musical instruments?
Oh, I can too.
How many of you like to write poetry?
I can.
How many of you can read and write and count?
We can count to 10 right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We did it.
Now, try those same questions on a college audience. Very few students will raise their hands if they can sing, dance, draw, read and write and count. More often than not, those who do raise their hands want to qualify their responses with their limitations.
I can play piano, but I'm not very good. My mom made me.
I only dance to rock and roll.
I only sing in the shower.
I only draw conclusions.
When asked why the limitations, college students answer,
I don't have any talent.
I haven't done any of that stuff since about the 3rd grade.
At the time, that's not my major.
you can imagine the responses you would get from an older audience.
Oh, gee, is that the time? You gotta
I
go.
think I'm eating.
I left the cake in the oven.
You got kidding.
Maybe after like 3 martinis.
Whatever happened between kindergarten, whatever happened to yes, of course.
I become so caught up in my grown-up stuff. And think I've lost spontaneity. It seems I've lost perspective on living life. Every day at my job, I fly gently. But I'm discovering all I really need to know. I learned in kindergarten.
About how to live, what to do, how to be.
It's a sandbox called of ethics, not some grad school mumbo jumbo. To have the greatest impact on me, I learned to share, play fair.
Don't hit people. Don't take things that don't belong to you. If you hurt someone, say you're sorry.
To be just
Clean up your own mess and wash your hands before you eat.
hold hands and sing together when you cross the street.
Wash.
Live a balanced life, learn some, work and play, and sing and dance and draw.
And take a nap each day.
Beware of wonder. Think of the seed in the paper cup. Who knows why the roots go down and the plant goes up? But we're all like that. And just as the seed, the mouse, the bee, and the goldfish will all die someday, but so will we. Remember the first words you learned in your Dick and Jane book. The biggest
most important word of all. Love.
Everything you need to know is in there somewhere. From the golden rule to basic sanitation.
Really, I have known these things all my life. Living them, that's another conversation.
Apply any of these items to your government, your world, your family life, or your career.
Translate them into sophisticated, grown-up terms, and they will all hold true and firm and clear.
If we all stop to take a nap each day, think of how much better our world would be. Or what if cleaning up your own mess were a matter of our government's policy? And it's still true as we go out into the world. In these uncertain times, uncertain weather, it doesn't matter if you're 6 years old or 60. We should all hold hands and stick together. Remember the first words you learned in your Dick and Jane book, the biggest, most important word of all.
Cinderella was a title on the chalkboard marquee.
Given the task of dramatizing a fairy tale for the teachers' conference, the kindergarten class decided on the old rags to riches story, Cinderella.
You know how it goes. Shy, agreeable protagonist, victimized by abusive step-parent, leads a wise matriarchal figure to rescue her and deliver her transformed from codependency to bliss.
In other words, if you're good-looking, good at heart, and have a fairy godmother, you've got it made.
It was a good course from the teacher's point of view because there are so many characters and every child of the class could be part of the play.
A list of characters was compiled as the class talked through the plot of the drama.
There was the absolutely ravishing Cinderella,
The evil stepmother,
The two wicked but stupid stepsisters,
The beautiful and wise fairy godmother,
The pumpkin,
the mice,
coachman,
horses,
king,
all the people at the King's Ball,
the generals,
the admirals,
knights,
princesses,
and of course, that ultimate object of fabled desire, the prince.
who, if you recall, was only a guy pushing his inventory and selling class slippers.
every child was allowed to choose their role for themselves, as each was allotted. They were labeled with felt pen and paper and sent to the other side of the room to wait until the rest of the roles were finished being casted. Finally, every child in the class had a part.
Except one small boy, Norman, who was different. Not weird, just different. And like so many misunderstood, Norman was teased by his kindergarten class.
Well, Norman, said the teacher, who are you going to be?
Well, I want to be the pig.
The pig? There's no pig in the story of Cinderella.
Well, there is now.
Norman did not relate to being a footman, or a mouse, or a pumpkin.
He knew his character, Pig.
and he was not about to give up his role in the play and go over and stand against the wall where a loser would stand.
He intended to participate wherever pigs fit into the scheme of things, without giving up his dignity or his identity. He assumed that there would be a place for pigs, and that the teacher would know that.
So what do you say to a kid who was already thinking up a costume of pink long underwear, pipe cleaner tail, and a paper cup for a nose?
What do you say to an innocent little actor who doesn't see his career as an actor and teetering on the brink of utter humiliation?
And what do you say to all the pigs, all those who are different and do not accept the available boxes or pigeonholes?
So what did the teacher say at that moment?
Well, sometimes teachers talk more like fairy godmothers.
So be it.
Norman was declared the pig in the story Cinderella.
It was fine with the rest of the class anyhow. Nobody else wanted to be the pig.
And since there was nothing in the script describing what the pig should do, the action was left up to Norman himself. As it turned out, Norman gave himself one of the all-time best walk-on parts in the history of children's theater. He was Cinderella's personal pig. Where she went, he went.
He made no sound. He simply sat on his back haunches and observed what was going on, like some silently supportive Greek chorus.
The expressions on his face reflected the details of the dramatic action, looking worried,
Sad,
anxious,
hopeful,
puzzled,
mad,
bored.
sick.
and pleased, as the moment required.
There was no doubt what was going on, and no doubt that it was important.
One look at the pig and you knew. The pig was so earnest, so sincere, so very there.
Norman created such dramatic tension that even the people who knew how the story was supposed to end began to have doubts.
At the climax, when the prince finally placed the glass slipper on Cinderella's foot, and the ecstatic couple hugged and rode off to live happily ever after, Norman finally made his move. He went wild with joy, dancing around the stage on his back feet. And barking like a dog.
The teacher had tried explaining to Norman that even if there was a pig in the story of Cinderella, there's no such thing as a dancing, barking pig.
Well, there is now.
It's true, Norman, it's true. Knock him dead, pig.
The presentation at the teachers' conference was a smash hit.
When Norman danced his dance, the crowd of weary teachers laughed and wept and cheered.
And later, when the pig stumbled out for his curtain call, the applause turned into a spontaneous standing ovation.
The teachers were able to see that the real Cinderella was not the little girl with the button nose and the blonde hair, but Norman, the dancing, barking pig.
And they knew that the real fairy godmother was not the child waving her magical fairy wand, but the teacher standing, weeping in the wings.
Kindergarten teachers know magic when they see it.
Well, the kindergarten class had many invitations to come and perform their highly acclaimed production of Cinderella. Sometimes, the teacher would have to explain what it was about the performance that was so unique.
Well, it has a pig in it, you see.
Oh, really?
Yes, the star of the show is a dancing, barking pig.
But there is no dancing, barking pig in Cinderella.
Well, there is now.
Dry, dark October evening, the neighborhood children were playing hide and seek. How long since I played hide and seek? 40 years? Okay, maybe more. Oh, but I could join the game in a moment if they invited me. But adults don't play hide and seek. Not for fun anyway. Did you ever have a kid in your neighborhood who hid so good nobody could find him? We did. And sooner or later we would get so bored and we'd just leave him to rot wherever he was. And then he'd come up and yell at us all mad that we didn't keep looking for him. And we would get mad back because he wasn't playing the game that was supposed to be played. You see, there's hiding and there's finding, we'd say. And he would say, oh, it's hide and seek, not hide and give up. We'd fight about who cared about who anyway and who made the rules. And we told him next time they played with us, if he didn't play the rules that were supposed to be played, he wouldn't be allowed to. But when it was time to play hide and seek, he would hide again too good. He's probably still hiding, somewhere for all I know. And this neighborhood game goes on, and there's a kid hiding in a pile of leaves underneath my window. The kids have given up and they're at the base, and I really want to tell them that he's here. And I also want to set the leaves on fire. Finally, I just said, get found, kid! It's hard to know how to be helpful sometimes. A man I know was diagnosed with terminal cancer last year. He was a doctor and he knew about dying, and he didn't want his family to worry. And so he kept his secret. He died. And everybody said how brave he was for bearing his suffering in silence. But secretly, his friends and family were hurt that he didn't trust them, didn't need his strength. And they were sad because he hadn't said goodbye. You see, he hid too good. Getting found would have kept him in the game. Hide and seek. Grown-up style. Wanting to hide, but needing to be sought. Yet so confused about being found. Better than a game of hide and seek, I like a game called Sardines. Now, in Sardines, the person who is it goes and hides. And everybody goes looking for him. But when you find him, you don't want to let anyone else know. And soon, everybody's hiding together in the pile like a heap of puppets. And then, somebody giggles. And then, somebody laughs. And soon, everybody gets found! Oh boy. By the sound of laughter, everybody gets found. Wait up, you guys, wait for me!
True story.
True story.
True story. Larry Walter.
Our hero. Walters is a truck driver, your average guy. He's sitting on a lawn chair in his backyard, wishing he could fly.
For as long as he could remember, he wanted to be up, to be high in the air somehow, and to ride the sky.
But there was no way he was ever going to pilot a plane, and hang gliding just looked way too dangerous.
So he spent a lot of long summer afternoons sitting in his old aluminum lawn chair in his backyard.
The next chapter takes place on July 2nd, 1982, and appears on television and newspapers across the country.
There's old Larry Walters up in the sky over Los Angeles, flying at last.
Really getting up there.
Still sitting in his aluminum lawn chair, only now it's hooked up to 45 helium-filled surplus weather balloons.
Larry has on a CB radio, a six-pack of beer, and a BB gun to pop some of the balloons when he wants to come down.
But instead of being just a couple 100 feet above his neighborhood, Larry shot up 11,000 feet right through the approach corridor to the Los Angeles International Airport. This is a true story.
The human race sits in his chair, some saying that there's nothing left to do.
Others, that the human situation is hopeless.
Meanwhile, the Larry Walters of the world are busy tying balloons to their chairs.
When asked by the press why he did it, he said,
"You can't just sit there."
When asked if he was scared, he said,
"You bet."
When asked if he would do it again, he said,
"Nope."
When asked, are you glad you did it?
Are you glad you did it?
Are you glad that you did it?
He grinned from ear to ear and said,
Yes. 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 Oh, yes.
The dream is held close to the heart.
And imagination is applied to what there is close at hand.
everything is still possible.
This is kind of personal.
And since I thought some of you would like to hear about it, I'd share it with you. I don't own this story anyway. Charles Boyer does. Do you remember Charles Boyer? Suave, dapper, handsome, king of the matinee, lover of the finest women of the silver screen. But that was all on camera and on film magazines. In real life, it was different. There was only one woman, Patricia, his wife. No less in love after 44 years than after their first year of marriage. Then one day, Patricia developed cancer of the liver. So he stayed by her side to provide hope and cheer, day and night for 6 months. But he could not change the inevitable, and Patricia died in his arms. 2 days later, Charles Boyer was also dead, by his own hand. He said he could not live without her. He said her love was life. As I say, this is no movie. This is the real story. Charles Boyer's story. Now, it's not for me to judge how he handled his grief, but it is for me to say that I am touched and comforted in a small way. Touched by the depth of love behind the apparent sham of Hollywood love life, and comforted to know that two people can love each other that much, that long. I don't know how he felt, and I pray she'll never have to stand in his shoes. Here's the personal part. No apologies. Some days, when I look across the room, amid the daily ordinariness of life, I see the woman I call my friend, my wife, my companion. And although I may not know how Charles Boyer felt, or why he did what he did, I do know how he felt. It is possible to love someone that much, that long. I'm absolutely sure of it.
Talking with a friend on the phone. She's had a case of the midwinter spiritual rot. And a terminal cold she's had since September.
Well, you don't ever get depressed, do you?
Are you kidding me? Sometimes I get so low, I need an extension ladder to get out.
Well, what do you do? I mean, what do you do?
I've never been quite pinned down like that before. They usually ask me what I think they should do. Well, my solace is not in religion, or yoga, or rum, or even deep sleep. It's Beethoven. I sit down on the floor, turn on the stereo. The music comes to me like the first day of creation. And I think about old Mr. Bieber. He knew a lot about depression and unhappiness. Kept moving around from place to place, trying to find the right place. He had a lousy love life. He quarreled with his friends all the time. He wanted to be a virtuoso pianist and singer, but when he was still very young, he started to lose his hearing. It's usually a really bad thing for pianists and singers. By 1818, when he was 48 years old, he was stone cold deaf. That's what makes it all the more amazing that just 5 years later, he finished his Ninth Symphony. So I sit down on the floor, listening to the Ninth, wondering if I could have ever felt to Beethoven the way it sounds in my head. The crescendo rises, and my sternum starts to vibrate. Then by the time the kettle drum drowns out the final chords, I'm on my feet, jumping up and down, singing along in gibberish German about the ending of the world, the coming of the Messiah and all his angels. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! Boom! Bang! Kaboom! Wow! Excited! Exalted! Amazed! Man alive! So I'm listening to that music. I think out of all of that depression and unhappiness, all of that misery and darkness, all of that deep and permanent silence, came such majesty and joy. How can I sit on the floor wringing my hands in my winter ash heap in the face of that music? On on some great December night, when I'm very rich, I'm going to rent a great concert hall, and a choir, and an orchestra, and I will personally lead Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. And I will play the kettle drum part all the way through the end, all the while singing at the top of my lungs. In that great silence that follows, I will thank God for Ludwig van Beethoven, and for his ninth, and for his light.
rap on the door was sharp, urgent, a foreboding of crisis. I rushed to the door, adrenaline pumping, heart racing, fumbling with the lock. And then there's a small boy, an odd expression. He hands me a scrawled note on a much folded piece of paper. It reads, "My name is Donnie. I will rake your leaves. $1 per yard. I am deaf. You can write to me. I rake well." You see, behind our house is this row of tall matronly maple trees decked out in thousands of leaves. And each year and season, the leaves detach and lie at the base of the trees, like a gown it's stepped out of in preparation for the bath of winter. I like the way it looks. I like the way it looks very much.
His wife does not see it this way. The gardening magazine doesn't either. Leaves should be raked. Leaves are not good for grass. Leaves are untidy. Leaves are moldy.
But there's a reason for leaves. There's not, however, a reason for mowed grass. So say I.
His wife does not see it this way.
There's an unspoken accusation in the air of laziness.
They didn't do this before.
But this year, a deal has been struck in the name of the scientific method.
And so half the yard will be raked.
And the other half will be left in the care of nature. Come summer, we shall see.
So my side will be raked.
And mine will not.
We'll see.
Indeed we will. Anyways, my name is Donnie. I will rake your yard. $1 per yard. You can write to me, I am deaf. I rake well. He hands out the note and a pencil with hope, patience, and goodwill. How am I supposed to explain to this boy the importance of the experiment going on in my backyard? He waits, and he slowly turns to go. I quickly grab the note out of his hand and say, "Yes, I'd like for you to rake my leaves." I receive a small smile from this small businessman. I say, "Do you rake them when they are wet?" "Yes." I say to him again, "Do you have your own rake?" This time he says no. "You know, Donnie, this yard is pretty big. I should maybe give you $3 for doing it." 4? Well, the deal is struck. The rake is procured, and Donnie the leaf raker begins his work in the fast-falling November twilight. As he works, I watch him through a window in our house. Are there any sounds at all in his mind? I wonder. You know, of course, as soon as he's done, I'm going to take the pile of leaves and push them all over the yard to finish my experiment. But as he works and puts them in a pile, he picks up each leaf he missed individually and puts it with the others. He's stubborn about his values as well. He comes to my door and signs me that it's time for him to come home. I say, "You better come back tomorrow since I paid you in advance." I'm getting cynical in my age. But sure enough, there he is tomorrow morning, ready to work. He goes out there and finishes. And as he pushes them all into one pile, he picks up the most yellow leaves you've ever seen and stuffs them into his pocket. He comes to my door once more and signs, "I'm done. It's time for me to go home." As he walks down the street, he takes the yellow leaves out of his pocket and tosses them into the air, watching each one helicopter to the ground. A fringe benefit. I smile as I watch him. Another fringe benefit. Tomorrow, I'm going to go out into the pile How are you going to push it over the embankment into the ravine behind our house? The leaves will have to work out their own destiny down there this year. The trees have let go, the seeds have let go, and now it's time for me to let go and cast my lot with this child, who, like the seeds, is another one of nature's tenacious survivors. Hold on, Donnie. Hold on.
After the dishes are washed, the soap rinsed away, the strainer at the bottom of the sink, there sits what I will for a moment call some stuff.
Now, any rational, objective person would say, this is simply a mixture of bits of food which are not small enough to go around the drain, comprised of carbohydrates, fiber, fat, and protein. Dinner danger.
Furthermore, the person might think this stuff has already been sterilized in the cooking and then rinsed clean with suds and hot water in the sink.
No problem.
Against his wishes would testify. This explanation of why
You will profess that burning mess is a toxic catastrophe, a deadly calamity. It's enough to make you hurl. Oh, please, we're not dealing with that stuff forever. She'll reach into that strainer and he'll take that lethal cut with her hands. Bare hands?
And toss it in the garbage, no ifs, buts, or ands. To top that, I once saw her drag her fingers through the wet garbage bag, searching through the sludge with care for an old teaspoon that fell in there. Barehanded.
He found the spoon eventually in that soggy clump of coffee dregs mixed with pigeon fat and scrambled eggs.
some vegetable soup, acorn squash. I almost asked out when he came in to me to wash.
Once my French teacher happened to feature the word couture in a lesson.
Couture. Meant disgusting messes, let there be no doubt. I knew what she was talking about. Couture. Couture.
See the ugly sight of the trainer every night. My mother heard my exciting new word during dishwashing duty. She gave me the snooty. I couldn't take a look right out of the book and said she had the suspicion.
But the food I just eaten at that very moment in just about the same condition, rotting.
No matter what my mother thinks, it should be stressed. That stuff is lethal and septic, I'm convinced. If you ever accidentally touch it, you must never touch the rest of your body with your hands until your skull is soaked and rinsed. Even worse, I know that little Keith could congeal and mutate into a life form that could creep out of the sink and come after you when you're asleep.
Come to think of it, my dad never came within 3 feet of a sink in his life. He was just lazy, in the opinion of his wife. But I knew that he knew what I knew about the gunk.
doubt that Jesus ever had to clean that gunk out. Read, my dad.
It was the only theological discussion we ever had.
Imagine a speaker at a high school graduation. He asked the students,
how many of you would like to be adults, out on your own?
They shoot up without hesitation. Then the speaker lists a few of the things they'll have to do when they're grown.
Clean the sink straighter.
Plunge out the toilet.
Clean up the babies when they poop and pee.
Wipe runny noses. Clean up the floor when the baby throws up string spinach.
Empty the kitty litter.
Scrape up the dog do.
Bury dead pets when they get run over in the street.
When you can do these things, then you'll be adults.
this point, some students may not want to go on, but sooner or later, the truth will dawn. The fact is membership in community depends on our willingness to do these chores, my friends. Being an adult is dirty work, but someone has to do it.
Summer of 1959, at the Feather River Inn near the town of Blairson of the Sierra Nevada mountains of Northern California, a resort community, and I, just out of college, have a job that combines being both a night desk clerk and a horse wrangler in the stables. The owner is Italian-Swiss with European notions about conditions of employment. He and I do not get along. I think he's a fascist who wants pleasant employees, and he thinks I'm a good example of how democracy can be carried too far. Anyways, one week, the employees had been served the same thing for lunch every single day. 2 wieners, a mound of sauerkraut, and stale rolls. To compound insult with injury, cost was deducted from our checks. On Friday night of that awful week, I was at my desk job around 11 o'clock, and the night auditor had just come on duty. I went into the kitchen to get a bite to eat, and found notes to the chef to the effect that wieners and sauerkraut were on the employee menu for 2 more days. I was outraged. That tears it! I quit! For want of any better audience, I unloaded on the night auditor, Sigmund Bowling.
I'm gonna take a plate of wieners and sauerkraut, walk up to the owner, and throw it at him! Who does this guy think he is anyhow? Who's gonna make me eat wieners and sauerkraut for a whole week and make me pay for it? I don't like wieners and sauerkraut as much as the next guy! And all the horses are idiots, and the guests are nags, and I'm gonna pack up my bags and move to Montana, where they don't know what wieners and sauerkraut are, and wouldn't feed that to pigs!
I raved on this way for about 20 minutes, and Dean repeated all he said. You get the drift. My monologue was delivered
at the top of my lungs,
punctuated by
blows on the front desk,
the kicking of chairs,
and much profanity.
A call to arms.
Democracy! Freedom! The breaking of chains in the working masses!
As I pitched my favorite, Sigmund Volman sat watching with sorrowful eyes. Put a bloodhound in a suit, and you got him. He's got a reason to look sorrowful. Survivor of Auschwitz, 3 years German Jew. He liked being alone at the night job, gave him intellectual space, gave him peace and quiet. He could go into the kitchen whenever he wanted to. All the wieners and sauerkraut he could eat. To him, a feast. Even more, there's nobody around at night to tell him what to do. In Auschwitz, he dreamed of such a time. The only person he sees at work is me, nightly disturber of his dream. Our shift overlaps for an hour, and here I am again, a one-man war party at full crank.
Ah! No, why?
Listen to me. You know what's wrong with you? It's not the words, or the sauerkraut, or the boss, or this job, or the horses, or any of the other things that you just said.
Then what is it?
You think you know everything, but you don't know the difference between a problem and an inconvenience. If you break your neck, if you have no food to eat, if your house is on fire, then you have a problem. Everything else is just inconvenience. Life is inconvenient. Life is lumpy. You learn to know the difference between a problem and an inconvenience. You'll live longer. And you won't annoy people like me so much. Auf Wiedersehen.
In the late-night darkness of the Feather River Inn, Sigmund Bowman simultaneously kicked my butt and opened up a window into my mind. Problem or inconvenience? I call this the Sigmund Bowman test of reality. Life is lumpy, but a lump in the oatmeal, a lump in the throat, and a lump in the breast are not the same lump. We should learn to know the difference. Good night, Sig.
There's a bench in the city where I live. Its structure is simple. 3 slabs of smooth gray granite. And, having checked with the compass to be certain, I can tell you that this bench has been carefully placed so the long ends face east and west, and the short sides point north and south. This sturdy seat has been placed with purpose on the highest ground of the highest hill in the city, so that when the sky is clear on a summer's morning, you can see about 60 miles in any direction. Well, this bench is, in fact, a tombstone in a cemetery, and I would take you there to sit if I could. You wouldn't feel uncomfortable sitting on it, I promise. You wouldn't even notice what it was at first. It's right on the edge of a paved lane that curves through the burial grounds. It's placed so you are clearly invited to use it. The placement of this bench, the consciousness of the view, well, it all says that someone went to a lot of trouble to be useful in death. A parting gesture of quiet generosity has been made. Funerals have a certain narcissism to them, a focus on self, what I want for my funeral and what I want for my epitaph. A very human, holding on to identity as long as breath and granite last. But to me, tombstones are markers of loneliness. But this bench is different, unique. First of all, there's no name inscribed on it, no conventional epitaph, no dates, just an open invitation to sit and to think. What marks this grave is the gift of silent companionship that bridges loneliness. This bench has become a spiritual retreat for me over the years, and I know I'm not the only one to use it, because once I found a note taped under it. For a young woman from a young man who was in love with her and wrote her careless poetry with great passion. And no, I'm not sorry I snooped. And yes, I put it back as I found it. And no, I didn't hide in the bushes and wait and see who came for the note. Secret lovers have enough problems as it is. But it was on this bench, the summer morning after one of those milestone birthdays, that I came to that moment when one crosses over from the abstract intellectual knowledge that all human beings die, to the active realization that I will die. Me. I will not be sooner or later. Not only did I realize that I will die, but I walked away thinking, well, it's okay. I connect that moment of enlightenment with the peculiar sanctuary of the bench and whoever provided it. This bench will last hundreds of years. Many people will sit on it and think not of the name of its owner, but of the nameless joys of the sweet life and the mystery of death, and how utterly amazing it all is, and that somehow, sometimes,
Things are just as they should be.